Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. This is your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, and we're in the studio again with another great episode for you today. And of course, with me, I got Mr. DJ.
1, 3.
Yes, she's in the studio again, feeling good today, looking good for sure.
Oh, bro, we just capped on some recordings, bro.
I know,
Yeah.
that was fun, man. Yeah. Check out the bonus footage coming soon. But we have a lot of stuff coming for you soon, so make sure to check out the recaps coming as well. But for today, I have a very special guest with us today. Somebody I actually went to school with. We took a lot of classes together at UNR, crossed paths multiple times. Been crossing paths since then. So I just want to bring to the microphone Miss Cami Lyons. How are we doing today, Cami?
I'm good. Good to see you, Adrian. Yeah, we both lived in Nye Hall together, I think. You were in Nye Hall, right?
No, I was in Lincoln, but my boys were in Nye Hall, so I lived in Nye Hall every day pretty much. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, I saw you there a lot.
Yes, I was there every day almost, pretty much every day, every weekend, nights, everything. So I might as well have that. Yes, man. But no, it is good to see you again, man. I really appreciate you joining us today. And the reason I wanted to bring you on today's episode is to talk about a really powerful topic, I feel, actually. And that topic is teaching, So I know you've been a teacher for a while. You've been teaching. You talked about you coach cheerleading as well. So I just want to talk about some of the aspects of teaching that you deal with. So my first question is, when did you decide that you wanted to start teaching? Like, what made you want to teach,
So I originally did my undergrad and I got my degree in journalism with an emphasis in public relations and advertising, and a minor in political science. And so from that opportunity, I interned in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill for a little bit. And then I also did public relations and advertising for a couple different sectors when I moved to Colorado. And I started working for Denver Public Schools as a communications specialist, and I really enjoyed the aspects of my job when I got to go to the schools and interact with the kids. And then I noticed through my interactions at the different schools, I noticed how culturally diverse the school campuses were. So you had a variety of different languages being spoken, a variety of different races being represented, but most of the teaching staff was white. And so I also noticed inequitable resources amongst some of the schools, depending on the areas of town that they were located. We have Boulder, Colorado, which is very affluent, and they have a lot of funding from their schools that you don't always see in the Denver public school system. And so it made me realize that I wanted to pursue a career in education. And so I decided after researching a few different teacher prep programs that I decided to go back to school around age 27 and get my master's degree in education. And then I did this year-long teacher prep program where I actually was student taught at a school, elementary school in Boulder, Colorado. And amazing. The kids were amazing. Working with kids at any school is amazing. But from that experience, I realized that I wanted to that wasn't the community that I wanted to serve. And so I have a really strong passion. My whole purpose for teaching is wanting to create the capacity for equity in education. And so making sure that underprivileged students have everything that they need to be successful in school.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's really amazing, because I actually wrote down that you pulled that out. You saw that the funding difference, that's real. That is super real. And that blows my mind, because, the school district allegedly gets all this money into a big pot and they're supposed to divide it equally. But then, of course, the lower schools probably get the less funding, because we had old books in my school. Definitely Mojave High School. It wasn't the best of the best,
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Definitely based off the location too. I love it. So So I guess my question is then, with your purpose, how do you feel your purpose is impacting right now? Like, do you feel that your purpose is being fulfilled, being that ethnic teacher on campus, you know, showing more color in the teaching staff? Like, do you feel it's actually affecting students? Do you feel they're grabbing onto that? They actually like that?
Definitely. Like the school that I student taught at when I was in Boulder, I was the only person of color in the entire building, that other than the janitor. And there was students that were that could identify similarly to like my background, but we were like definitely the minority. And so from that experience, I realized that like I not only wanted to be at a school where like the student population was diverse, but like the teaching staff was diverse. Being like the only person in all like white staff, I did not feel like my voice was heard always, or that I was seen, or that I was valued. And working with like I work for a charter school network in Denver, and with like my current students that I have, like what I want for myself as an educator is I really want to foster a safe and inclusive learning environment where all my students feel valued, and I want to provide the students the opportunity to examine historical events, perceptions, and themes from diverse perspectives, and empowering like all my students to have a voice. Right. And so it's really important to me that my curriculum is not only like developmentally appropriate for my students, but also culturally responsive.
Right. That's interesting. So it actually kind of led into my next question. So do you feel that it's crazy? She's in a whole nother state and she's going through the same stuff that people in this state go through in the school system. Do you feel that like the school provides you with what you need to be able to, you know, teach, you know, what you said, history from other perspectives? You know, like do you feel like they actually provide that for you? Do they let you even do that? Or
so we do have a curriculum that we follow, and so with a set of like books that we have to teach. And so like if I want to teach something that's if I want to be like a culturally responsive educator, I not only want to present things to my students that are reflective of their background and like they can see themselves in the content that we're reading, but I also need to make sure that I'm giving them like a world view. And so I feel like sometimes because the books are so aligned with the curriculum that we're teaching, it's not going to be exactly right for every group of students. And so, like, for example, at the beginning of the year, we read the book, The Giver. And although it isn't specifically about like a particular, like mostly, you could say that most of the characters in the book are white, but what I was able to do with that book is a lot of the students on their own picked out, because of the storyline, that in that society racism wouldn't exist because everybody has to be the same. And so it brought up a really interesting conversation between me and the students on like, sure, everyone in society would be the same, and there's so many negatives with that, but a positive is people wouldn't be discriminated against because of the color of their skin, or because of their sexuality, or because of this, and this. And so it led to like really interesting conversations, but it does make it hard sometimes when you do have to follow a particular curriculum and you're not able just to like pick novels based on your students' backgrounds. But I really try to present content to my students in a way that everybody can take something different from it, and they're able to we're able to have like deeper conversations, even if that isn't what the book was meant for, if that makes sense.
Like being open to the like another idea of like another perspective from which gets them deeper into thinking like, well, what is my perspective?
Yes. And then also I think it's important to be like vulnerable. And so like with my students, like I've shared like my experiences with racism and different parts of my identity that have impacted my life. And from that, I've had students come up to me and are like they've shared that, like, Miss Lyons shared racism that she experienced, and now I know if I experience racism, I can go to her. And so just trying to, like, create the space where they feel that trust. And last year we have this thing at my school where we have, like, advisories, and it's like a group of students. It's like your homeroom that you're like, I'm their advisor, and, like, I'm responsible for, like, looking over their grades and making sure they're on track. And, like, we meet every morning and we set goals and we do, like, team building activities. And so last year I had a group of students that identified as female, and half of them were biracial, identified as biracial like I am. And so I was telling them the story of how, like, when I was growing up, I never had, like, a Black or biracial female teacher. Like, I never saw that. And so I never, like, even saw, like, what I would look like as an adult, because no one around me was biracial. Like, I had my family where my mom was white and my dad was Black, and I was the minority in my class, and, like, no one else looked like me. And so, like, how, like, that representation was never there from, like, my teachers when I was at school. And from that, I felt like I never, like, had that close, trusting relationship with my teachers, if that makes sense.
No, I truly understand, because, like, you know, just thinking about my schooling, I can partly remember a few Black teachers, and unfortunately, most of them are my coaches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or the dean trying to get you in trouble. I know I had, like, a few Black teachers, like a math teacher, whatever. Yeah. And I'm in my hobby, so you'll think it'll be more culture. But I like the idea that that's what you're noticing, and you're trying to actually change it the best way you can while inside the system, you know? So that's really smart for sure. And I applaud you on that one for sure, because I know that takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage. So do you ever feel that, you know, do you ever feel you get backlash for what you're doing right now? Or does the school ever come at you and be like, yo, Cami, you can't be doing this? Like, anything like that at all?
I never have had that happen, but we have this book club at my school. Like, we have a diversity and equity and inclusion book club, and we're currently, like, reading a book called Teaching When the World is on Fire. So I feel like we're headed in the right direction. But it was just an interesting conversation that came about that kind of surprised me, just because, like, I feel like you should be able to say things like anti-racist and not have it be political necessarily. So.
Right. You should be able to speak sometimes in school. Definitely if you're talking on the subject with a group, like, you should be able to be open like that. Definitely if you're talking on a book, like, that makes no sense at all.
You gotta recognize the context in which it's being used, and if it's not really being used maliciously or taking it too far, then it shouldn't be a problem. Exactly. It's a spectrum, not a, you know, a binary black and white decision.
Exactly. So so now I actually want to get more into, you know, dealing with the students then. So do you get the opportunity to help build, well, honestly, you're doing that for sure, being a teacher in general, but do you ever get to teach them more how to think at all? Or more how to grow their minds and own their own mind themselves? Or do you really have to stick to your curriculum a certain way?
So I really try to incorporate project-based learning where students are, here it is, I'm gonna have some notes.
Your side, okay. I like it. She took notes on her side. She was ready. Look at the growth. I'm just like, honestly, I'm just happy that you took notes, because it's like, okay, you took this serious. Because everybody kind of been showing up like, yeah, bro, I'm here. Let's do it. You get caught off guard, you know, but you're like, nah, he about to catch me off guard. You know, he about to catch me saying some wild stuff.
Well, like, I am used to being on, like, I'm used to interviewing other people. I'm not used to being interviewed myself. So I really try to create, like, techniques that foster the transformative classroom. And so specifically the idea of, like, collaboration and providing students the opportunity to explore the world around them through their interactions with others. And then I also think, like, I value being, like, a socially just teacher. And so being a socially just teacher, I want to create, like, as I mentioned, like a safe and inclusive learning environment that fosters academic achievement for all my students. And I really think it's important. I like the transformational approach of teaching, which provides students the opportunity to examine historical events, perceptions, and themes from like varied viewpoints. And I think that's very important to not just present things in a one-sided manner. Like at the beginning of the year, I had my students write an essay on if we should celebrate Christopher Columbus Day or if it should be Indigenous People Day. And so I just presented them with the resources, and then on their own, they decided based on what they read, if it should be Columbus Day or Indigenous People Day. And so I just think presenting content in that manner is so important.
Right. No, and that's amazing. You know, like you said, you give them options to choose from and say, run with it, do what you want to do, just for presenting me the idea.
Yeah.
You know, that really helps open up the mind for sure and show them that, okay, I can think and have my own opinion.
Right. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask was, like, do you have any like special methods for yourself to connect with the students, but also ways to help them connect with each other on a deeper level, since it's a transformative classroom?
So I really value social emotional learning, and I think in order for you to even teach someone, you have to have some sort of established relationship with them. There has to be some form of trust, and so I do a lot of like community building circles where, or like restorative justice circles where we'll all sit in a circle, and then I'll ask them a question, and then we'll pass around a talking piece, and everyone will get a chance to share. And the students have really opened up during that time and have shared a lot of like really vulnerable things that have like surprised me. And it really has brought like our community closer together. And that was more so last year, like with social distancing and being like virtual. Like for like an entire year, I taught like virtually and then a little bit hybrid. And then now I have like 75% of my kids in person and like 25% are like virtual. And so this year was really challenging to establish those deep connections. But like last year, when I was able to be with them in person and we were able to like take time out of our day to like have those circles, or like there was a really like stressful thing that happened at my school last year. And so like I was in the middle of teaching and I could tell that the kids were just like really, really emotional. And so like I just decided like in that moment, we needed to stop what we were doing, and we just like formed a circle. And I was like, how are you feeling about this? And why are you feeling this way? And then everybody shared, they got their feelings out, and it was more purposeful than like and we couldn't have gotten through the content because they weren't ready to like learn, they weren't in the space. And so like, I really think like how they have Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I feel like if kids' needs aren't being met, they aren't able to learn. And so if they're hungry, they're not focused on school. If their emotional needs aren't being met, they're not focused on school. And so you have to really create that safe environment, or they're not even going to be open to learn.
No, that's beautiful. Incredible. That's beautiful. And it was perfect, because my next question was going to be like, do you ever have to like read the vibes in the room to like adjust your path at all, like while teaching?
And so many people don't
do that. No,
yeah,
they don't. They don't. They just keep hammering it, and like they don't care if you're absorbing it or not. They're just gonna keep throwing out there. But I like that you actually stop and, you know, let me vibe check these people. And something's not right, let me find another path to connect with you.
High key, like you're gonna be like a very memorable teacher just for that. I can count like the teachers that I've had that like truly connected with, and then also had the group connect, is like less than 3. Yeah. And those are the most transformative experiences in my life, where it's just like, wow, I'm okay to be me, and I got to say what I got to say and do it how I want to do it, but still completed the task at hand.
Yes. Love it.
No, it's important. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess my next question is, you know, you start talking about the mental health, and you know, the kids can't focus with other things going on. And I guess I just want to talk about like, how does the kids' home life really affect their school effort? You know, like I'm sure, like how does that really distract them to the fullest? Like how does that affect the kids? start?
So I always like to keep in mind when I'm interacting with my students something called the ecological systems theory. And so what I mean by that is like that is described as like the formal and informal relationship. I'll give you the definition of it. It's the formal and informal relationship among immediate settings and social contexts outline the cultural impact on human development and the direct impact this has on student achievement. And so for me, when I'm thinking about that, how a student is behaving in my classroom, I have to keep in mind that it could be nothing, it could be a result of nothing currently going on in my room. Right. It could be because of something that they're interacting with in another environment. And so just trying to really be mindful of forming those student relationships so they do feel open to telling you if something is going on in their life and you can be there to help them. And then also just keeping in mind that they may be reacting that way in that moment because of something else that's going on in a different environment that they're interacting with that might be impacting their ability to learn at that moment in that time, and just providing them grace and like empathy.
Gotcha. No, I fully understand that. So what happens if you have a student, you know, not like discipline wise, but I guess like mentally, what do you try to do when you have a student that you feel doesn't want to connect with you or doesn't want to be like, you know, I don't care what you're saying or I don't care what you're feeling right now, you know, I'm in this mode, I'm gonna stay in this mode. Like, how do you deal with something like that?
We have a really amazing social worker at our school, and so I will like ask the student, I'll be like, do you need to take a break? Do you want to go on a walk? And then I'll contact our like social worker, and then she'll take them like on a walk around the school, and then they'll come back to class, and they'll usually decompress. And then what I've noticed, because I teach English language arts, is that they won't always tell me outright, but they put a lot of it in their writing. And so you can pick up on a lot of things based on what they're writing about. Like I had a student who shared a lot of like really interesting things that were going on with them in a narrative story that we wrote, and then we just finished like a poetry unit. And based on some of the things that the students were writing, you could really be like, oh, they're feeling this way because of this. And they like needed to get their feelings out and they weren't willing to talk about it, but they were able to get it out through their writing. And so like that's been really cool to see. But yeah, this is only my second year of teaching like in a classroom all by myself. And so like I continue to like learn and grow and like learn from others. But I also try to really be like a self-reflective teacher, because I think it's important to like to always take a step back and be like, how would you do this differently? Or how could you have presented yourself better in that moment? And then I also think I learn so much from them. Like they teach me so much just because they view things in such a unique way. They're so open-minded. They're so just the way they see the world. I really value their perspectives.
Right. No, that's amazing, you know, and of course you're on the Just Keep Swimming podcast right now, and we're all still growing, you know what I'm saying? We're all trying to get better. So yeah, don't knock yourself at all. You know, I'm proud of you for going 2 years and still doing it, you know, so applause on that for sure. So, you know, what do you actually like reflect on then as a teacher, you know, like what are the biggest things that you feel like, okay, I still need to work on or grow on to get to what I need to be?
I'm a perfectionist, so like I always am like, well, this could have gone way better, or you could have taught this differently, or so I'm always, after like every single lesson I teach, I'm always thinking like how I could have done that better. What has been nice to see is that like as I get more comfortable with teaching and I grow in the field, I'm getting faster at in the moment correcting my craft. But one of the things, like I think to be a truly effective teacher, you're not only reflective of how you can improve, but also what you're learning from your students in that moment. And I think our students can teach us to be more like open-minded and less judgmental. And what I mean by that is if we truly view each child as an individual with unique learning needs, we are less likely to generalize them and label them into groups. So I'm really against like forming generalizations and stereotyping. And like I think you should view every individual as a unique circumstance and let them be the storyteller of their narrative. Like It's not, you're telling me who you are. I'm not going to put any identifiers on you. You're going to tell me who you are as a person. It's not my place to tell you who you are. You're going to tell me who you are, and I respect you, so I will respect your identifiers.
Right. No, I love it. That's amazing. You know, you're the teacher, but you're still learning from the students. You know, and that right there shows growth, and you're constantly reflecting, and reflection is amazing because that's how you actually grow. You know, I said it multiple times already. You know, experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is the best teacher. So, no, I applaud you on that one for sure. So, I guess my question is what is one of the biggest lessons your students have taught you?
I think going through the experience of like last year was my first year teaching, and like we had a really tumultuous up and down year. Last year we had some of our staff had left, and students, like we would have in some of our courses there wasn't always stability of having the same teacher that was there every day, and so like that created some anxieties for the students. And then we had the pandemic happen, and so then bam, 1 minute we're all like normal, and then like the next thing you know we're on a 3-week spring break, and then bam, we're not coming back, and we're just completely virtual. And so from like my students in that experience, I really noticed that I needed to like stop and like live in the moment more, because there was so much prior to that I had been missing out on, because I was so like, last year I was a grad student, I was teaching full time, and I realized from my students and then from those experiences that I really just needed to like stop in the moment and like take everything in and stop just like going through the motions.
Yeah, no, I fully understand. You have to be present to make the true effect that you need to feel, you know, because like you said earlier, if you're not feeling the vibration in the room, how do you even know if their students are taking in what you're saying? You know, you're just up there wasting words pretty much, and wasting their time as well if they're not absorbing it. So I like that. I truly salute that. So do you have any, how do you continue to grow as a teacher then? Do you have any like role models you look after? Or, you know, do you do constant reading? Or, you know, what do you do to continue to grow yourself to become better?
We have, like at my school, I have a coach that coaches me as a teacher, and we meet every week, and she observes my classes and provides me with like glow and grow feedback. And then on my own, I'm just like constantly constantly reading different books. I'm teaching, and then making sure that I'm staying in contact with the people that I went through my grad program with and my teacher grad program with, and like always sharing like resources with them. And then I learn by observing others, and so I always try to like watch like the students or the teachers in my school that like I consider effective teachers, and just try to like pick up on their techniques and things that I want to try to incorporate in my classroom.
No, I like that because you sound like my brother. We did an episode on you know, he does studio and everything like that, and he was talking about the same thing, how you have to really, you know, step out more when you're outside the classroom and go join other people and see what they're doing and apply it to yourself and figure out their craft. So I really do. I salute you on that one. So so I want to wrap up into our end game a little bit. And you already answered the question about where you kind of still swimming to be a teacher. But I guess, you know, let's try to rephrase the question a little bit. What do you want to see change in the school system? Like, what effects are you putting in right now that you want to see truly change in the system?
So my master's degree is in human development and education, with an emphasis in culturally and linguistically diverse education. And so my goal is I really want to like a key issue in education is the achievement gap for underprivileged students. And so like my focus is on how I as an educator can create the capacity for education in my classroom. So making sure that I am fully supporting my multilanguage learners in my classroom, making sure that my content is culturally responsive and every student in my room feels like they have a voice and they're seen and they're heard, and then making sure that they're set up for academic achievement so that they can go on and I have a quote that really resonates with me.
Yeah, that leads right to our next question. What's the quote you want to bring? I love it.
So I think one of the important goals of multicultural education is to help all students, not just culturally diverse students, to acquire the knowledge, attitudes, and skills needed to function effectively in a pluralistic, democratic society and to interact, negotiate, and communicate with people from diverse groups. And so like that would be my hope for my students, that once they're done with their schooling, they'd be able to go out into the world and accomplish that. And my charter school network that I work for, they have a goal of making sure that 100% of our students are accepted into college. And so far, at most of the campuses, that has happened.
Okay. No, that's super good. That's super good. I love it. So my last question for you is do you have a quote you can leave with us that isn't a definition? So some type of quote that you use, probably like some John Maxwell or, you know, one of the books that you read pulled out and you're like, yo, this is a powerful quote. I'm going to apply it to my teaching. You know, I'm going to make sure I live by this quote.
Or something you made up yourself too. What do you tell the kids?
I don't really have like a quote or a mantra that I like say all the time. That is a good question, though. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't really have one, though.
You gotta look it up now. You gotta look it up now.
Okay.
We'll edit all this out.
Have you asked that question to everyone?
Yes.
What are other quotes that people have used?
So a lot of quotes have been, don't look for the way, you are the way. The 4 agreements. So don't take anything personal. Always do your best. Don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your words.
There we go.
Other people, you know, I quoted my pops one time, and nobody gonna do it for you. Knock it out. You know, you have someone can't do everything, but everyone can do something. Yeah, I got quotes today. Yeah, it's so many. So it's like, you know, we're just nitpicking off everybody's minds, what everybody's running with. I like it.
Do you encourage my students to have a mindset constantly, but I don't have like a quote around that. Let me see. I guess a quote that resonates with me is one that I just found.
You're honest?
At least you're honest.
Love challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning. I really value the importance of being a lifelong learner and like learning from your mistakes or your challenges and seeing them as areas as growth and things that you can learn from and grow from.
Amen. I love it. Love challenges. I think that's my favorite part of it. Love challenges. Take on the challenge head on with, you know, with your horns, man. Go ahead.
I'll put that up in my classroom now that I'm inspired and I designed that. So.
Yes. Put up in the classroom. Look, if you want to one day, play this interview for your class so they can know what you're trying to do and, you know, make them feel good. Like, okay, she shouted me out a little bit. Yes, man. So Cami, man, I just want to say I truly appreciate you being with us today. You know, first things first, you were the first one to come on deck with notes ready to go. And I appreciate you. I salute you on that one. You made me feel like I was like Jay Leno or something like that. Like, you know, like I'm on
But
big.
that journalism background though, so.
Hey, I appreciate it, you know, and you stay true to it, man. So I just want to say I appreciate you coming for being with us today. You killed it. You know, good luck on the teaching career for sure. And, you know, we'll check back in with you for sure so we can get progress on how you're doing. And yeah, stay updated.
Awesome. So what parts are, like, what will it look like when it's like edited? Like what parts will be included? Or we don't know.
I'll give that to you right after this. Let me wrap it up real quick. So I appreciate you, man.
Of course. Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
having me over again today.
And then everybody out there listening, man, I appreciate you guys for joining us today. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, a wonderful afternoon, a splendid evening. And remember, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Yes. And,
Thank you for having me on. I didn't say that, so thank you.
hey, well, I know you was going to say it soon, but, you know, we got you here. I know you were nervous. I can feel it, but it's all good. It was all fun. I appreciate it.